On this episode of New Mexico Frontiers, find out how one New Mexico startup is employing artificial intelligence to detect disease faster and with greater accuracy. Plus, New Mexico high school students took their creative talents to the stars, the big winners of Project SOS through the Hyperspace Challenge. And we meet a New Mexico filmmaker who has made it her mission to tell the untold stories of everyday Ukrainians living through the war. New Mexico Frontiers starts right now.
This is New Mexico Frontiers, presented by Veris Research.
Hello and welcome to New Mexico Frontiers. I'm Chad Brummett. New Mexico has been a mecca for technological research and development for decades, and the next level of computing could call the Rocky Mountain region home. We spoke with a professor at the University of New Mexico about the likelihood of our state becoming the next quantum hotbed.
Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Madison, Wisconsin, Austin, Texas, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Rochester, New York, Raleigh, North Carolina. What do these cities all have in common with Albuquerque? Well, according to the Quantum Insider, they are all touted as the next potential hotbed for quantum technology.
But what does that really mean?
Quantum technology is really one of the hottest areas in high tech today.
Simply put, quantum technology uses the physics of subatomic particles to solve incredibly complex problems and make technology more accurate. It means more reliable navigation systems, more secure communications, and exponentially more powerful computing.
It's, the difference between fire and a nuclear bomb.
Ivan Deutsch is the director of the Center for Quantum Information and Control, or CQIC, at UNM. He's played a pivotal role in the development of quantum technology research at the university since arriving in 1995. With the establishment of CQIC in 2009, Deutsch says the university has been able to accelerate their partnerships with other cutting-edge players in the state.
We decided with the leadership at both UNM and Sandia that it would be good for us to really join efforts and to create a joint institute that would really supercharge our research and development.
Another supercharged initiative based out of Colorado is Elevate Quantum, a partnership between the Centennial State, Wyoming, and New Mexico. The cohort recently applied for a $75 million grant, which could help the Mountain West region edge out those other contenders as the next big home for quantum technologies.
We are at the precipice. I think we're not there yet, but I think there's a tremendous amount of potential, and we're very excited about helping to realize that.
Deutsch says the key to growing their impact is collaboration between private entities, public institutions like UNM, and the federal government. By combining the strengths of the various stakeholders, Deutsch says it could cause a domino effect of research, development, and delivery of next-generation technology.
And we see this as just a beginning.
According to UNM, the center has ongoing partnerships with Los Alamos National Labs, Sandia National Labs, and the University of Arizona. When we come back, we're getting a closer look at an art contest that employs mathematics, coding, and science, all aimed at telling the story of space. And later, the New Mexico filmmaker who has made it her mission to tell the untold stories of the war in Ukraine.
Veris Research is the title sponsor of New Mexico Frontiers.
Veris Research was founded on the idea to have a culture and an environment where talented people could come to pursue their passions. If you are passionate about technology and want to make a difference, join our team at Veris Research. Let's create solutions that matter.
Telling the complex stories of space can be difficult, and the Business Accelerator Hyperspace Challenge is utilizing the world of art to share part of that story, and how they are commissioning the work might surprise you.
An image is worth 1,000 words, but in the case of Project SOS, it's worth thousands of objects orbiting hundreds of miles above Earth.
Art is just a great way to express these complicated ideas and get things out to the general public. To help them understand the topics that maybe, that aren't top of mind for them.
Kelly Stafford is Senior Program Manager at Hyperspace Challenge, a business accelerator founded in 2018 with a mission to build a bridge between private enterprise, academia, and governmental agencies working toward the next generation of space exploration. For several years now, they have utilized the artistic talent of college student Madeline Ingram to create works that visually tell the complex stories of the final frontier.
We love the vibrance We love what she brings to it. And she's graduating this year, so we were trying to think of ways that we could incorporate student artwork in our work in the future.
Their solution? Take the creative challenge to high schoolers across New Mexico and see what they can come up with. Stafford and her team reached out to 2 high schools, Data here in Albuquerque and the New Mexico School for the Arts in Santa Fe. Working with faculty, they created a curriculum that would last a semester, giving students 3 subjects on which to create: satellite necessity, the growing problem of space debris, and collaborative solutions to fix it.
We really wanted to jump on the opportunity to incorporate art with science because it's a great medium to help introduce what might be a hard subject.
The whole concept was kind of built off of this connecting with NASA and getting out into the world.
While combining math and art in Albuquerque, Nicholas Chiaria in Santa Fe employed coding, along with old school mediums like photography and illustrations to bring the works to life.
At first it sounded too foreign to them, I think, but as we've gotten in, they've really embraced it and been able to jump in.
The results, according to Stafford, were 80 entries, some digital prints, some 3D sculptures, and some interactive works utilizing the P5.js JavaScript. Ultimately, 13 winners were chosen, but as Stafford stresses, the challenge is a win for all stakeholders involved.
It's an opportunity for us to get them interested and excited. It's also an opportunity to show that space and the field of space technology is not just for scientists, it's not just for mathematicians, artists. We need people from all different areas to make space successful.
Now, while Stafford says that they don't have plans in place yet for a 2025 campaign, they are keen on working with students on future creative projects. When we come back, we are getting an inside look at how artificial intelligence could help with earlier diagnoses of disease right in your primary care's office. And later, we are meeting a woman who's made it her mission to tell the hidden stories of the war in Ukraine. New Mexico Frontiers will be right back.
New Space is the proud aerospace sponsor of New Mexico Frontiers.
New Space New Mexico is now New Space Nexus. We bring together the people and technology leaders to unite and ignite, driving space innovation to new plateaus for the nation and the world. New Space Nexus is the proud aerospace sponsor of New Mexico Frontiers.
20 years from now, most diagnostics within primary care will be done utilizing the aid of artificial intelligence. At least that's the goal of New Mexico's startup using the technology to help diagnose a degenerative eye disease. And as we found out, they are just one of many companies getting a leg up on success through the Bioscience Center in Albuquerque.
According to the CDC, approximately 9.6 million Americans were living with diabetic retinopathy in 2021. The degenerative condition will often go unnoticed, with symptoms only showing up in advanced stages of the disease.
To give you a sense of this is like it affects 10 to 30% of diabetics over the course of their lifetime. And ultimately, they can lose their vision and they can go blind, even in rare cases.
Jeremy Steuven is the founder and CEO of Itazi AI, a startup based in Santa Fe's business incubator. The company was founded at the crossroads of Steuven's history as an emergency room doctor and aspirations as a product developer.
This is a dream of mine since childhood. My wife said, you know what, go for it.
After working for years in emergency rooms and creating a successful practice, Steuven shifted gears and established the company whose first mission was to combat a disease that has robbed thousands of Americans of their eyesight. Essentially, too much sugar in the blood can cause blockage in the blood vessels of the retina. The body tries and fails to grow new vessels. Over time, they can begin to leak into the retina, causing floaters, blurred vision, and potentially blindness. However, as Steuven stresses,
if you notice changes in your vision, it's likely already too late.
To get Itazi off the ground, Steuven was connected with Stuart Rose, founder of the Bioscience Center in Albuquerque.
Most of the companies that come here are companies with ideas. And they need to prove out, do the research to say, does this idea really work? Does the technology work? And is there a market for it? So we help them do all that.
The building, located just off San Pedro and I-40, is home to 30 offices and 10 laboratories, all catering to startups in the bioscience field.
And in New Mexico, we're spewing out technology at a dramatic rate.
Both Rose and Steuven stress the importance that small business startups like Vatazi represent to local economies.
Startups are the lifeblood of a community. They're the absolute lifeblood.
We spend way too much time trying to attract companies to come to New Mexico. There's a place for that, but we put too much emphasis on that. We have such massive technology in New Mexico that we can grow our own.
Vatazi is currently in clinical trials on their diagnostic machine that employs artificial intelligence to analyze multiple medical imaging taken over time. Machine learning can then detect subtle changes in the imagery, which can lead to better and earlier diagnoses.
And if AI can do kind of the equivalent of what the ophthalmologist could do just in terms of screening for diabetic retinopathy, that's a huge win.
Steuven's goals for AI diagnostics don't end with the eyes. He envisions a time when primary care physicians will be able to use the technology to detect and diagnose conditions right in their office.
Primary care environment is supposed to be the triage. It's supposed to be the place where you go to find out what you got, and then when you need something fixed, you go to the specialist to get it fixed. That's where I want Vatazi to go.
And as Rose, who has witnessed the successful growth of pioneering companies like Vatazi for a decade, says, New Mexico's reputation for innovation shows no signs of slowing down.
I've been told by friends in San Diego, for example, that it's easier to get your first 1 to 2 million here than it is there, or in Boston. Okay, so we're being increasingly being identified as a center for technology innovation.
Steuven says that they are currently seeking participants for their clinical trials, which can be accessed online at vatazi.ai. When we come back, the untold stories of the war in Ukraine and the international team making it happen. New Mexico has been at the cutting edge of filmmaking since the silent movie days of Tom Mix. We have created and inspired New Mexicans to get into the industry, and now one New Mexico filmmaker's inspiration has led her to war-torn Ukraine. She wants to find the stories beyond the headlines, and she has made it her mission to break borders and build bridges with filmmakers documenting Ukrainians defending their front lines.
On February 24, 2022, Russia invaded the neighboring country of Ukraine. The unprovoked aggression sparked the bloodiest conflict and largest humanitarian crisis in Europe since World War II. Sadly, it's not the first time the superpower has waged war in the former Soviet Republic.
Russia has been committing acts of genocide in Ukraine for a long time.
As the Soviet Union crumbled, Ukraine passed its Declaration of Independence in August of 1991. As the years progressed, so too did Ukraine's alliance with Western nations and members of NATO. President Vladimir Putin saw this as an act of aggression toward Russia, threatening Western countries with retaliation if they encroached too much in Ukraine.
The citizens of Crimea have overwhelmingly voted to rejoin Russia.
In 2014, Russia covertly invaded and annexed Crimea, a move they justified as a rescue operation for Russian nationals living in the southeastern parts of Ukraine. And less than 10 years later, Putin launched his full-scale attack that continues to this day.
When the full-scale invasion happened, I felt compelled to help, and so I used basically all of my background experience to help in what I'm doing now.
Half a world away, filmmaker and media strategist Genevieve Traynor watched along with millions of other Americans as the brutal invasion took place. As images were fed back to American news outlets of bombed-out buildings and military campaigns, she couldn't help but think of the innocent, anonymous voices of Ukrainians living within the war zone.
We see the bombed-out buildings in the news, but we don't hear the people's stories. We are here at a medical facility.
Traynor, who received her undergrad in communications and journalism from the University of New Mexico, felt she might be able to give a voice to those living through the conflict. So in the fall of 2022, she sold her car, stepped away from her career in film and public relations, and planned her first trip to Eastern Europe. Landing in Warsaw, Poland that September, she convened with filmmakers based in Poland, Ukraine, and colleagues working stateside.
It felt a little bit extreme for my first trip to Ukraine to go to the eastern part of the country where That's where most of the action is.
Compelled by her Polish colleague, who coincidentally was friends with the late cinematographer Helena Hutchins, Trainer crossed over the border to Ukraine, making her way east to the occupied Donbas region in the city of Kharkiv.
And so we spent time in there, in that region, and in Kharkiv. And the way that people, they don't take their days for granted. They wake up, not everybody, of course, but generally speaking, they wake up appreciative of waking up for another day.
As you head further east into the country, the roads deteriorate, destroyed by Russian tanks and bombings. Mixed within the metropolis, which Trainer says is a mecca for higher learning in the country, are bombed-out buildings and reflections of a time when the country wasn't at war. It's within these confines that thousands of Ukrainians make their best effort to live a normal life, and at the same time voluntarily take up arms against their invaders.
It's a civilian war. I believe most of the military members right now fighting were civilians before the full-scale invasion. The people helping on the ground are everyday Ukrainians.
Since December of 2022, Trainer has taken 6 trips to the country, with the 7th planned for the summer. There, she meets, she listens, and she relays the daily struggles, triumphs, and tragedies of the nation's population. Among them are people like Yevgeny, a Ukrainian-born basketball enthusiast who is working to provide free camps for kids displaced by the war. Then there's Fuminori Toshiko, a 76-year-old transplant to the country from Japan, arriving just weeks before Russia attacked. He's helped with humanitarian efforts, distributing food, developing a mobile children's library, and establishing a cafe where, according to Trainer, he feeds thousands for free every day. And Trainer herself has sacrificed much to bring the untold stories outside the borders of Ukraine. But one sacrifice in particular made her decision to go difficult, but necessary. What has it meant for you in terms of what you have had to sacrifice or scale back here stateside to make sure that you are serving a purpose and that you are fulfilling the goal you set out for yourself to achieve?
I've sacrificed time with my girls that I won't get back. So that's probably the hardest thing. Sorry. I think that time with my girls that I won't get back has been hard, but I hope that my work there shows them that they can pivot their lives if they feel compelled to do something in their life that they're not currently doing, that they don't have to stay in something that doesn't make them happy, or that they can also chase what they want in their life.
The domino effect on global stability cannot be understated, and while more than 5,000 miles separates the U.S. from Ukraine, Trainer stresses that no one is immune from the conflict.
The war is at our doorstep. The war is in the U.S. It's not being fought with missiles, and probably wouldn't be in the U.S., of course, but it is already here. And what the Ukrainians are fighting for is democracy and freedom.
Trainer has also been working with Ukrainian media overseas as well as here in the States, combating Russian propaganda. She and her producers are in post-production on a number of those stories. A premiere date has yet to be set. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of New Mexico Frontiers. If you would like more information or other episodes, just head over to our website at krqe.com. Thanks for joining us.